Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator 24. For the past few days, I was getting lots of requests for this plane, the PC-12. So I thought of doing some videos for it. Before this, I've uploaded two videos in which I've shown you how to start this plane from the cold and dark state, how to configure the FMS, and how to fly this plane on autopilot. Now, this video is related to ILS. However, I've given you all the links in the description, so you can just follow any of the link as per your learning curve. So today I'm doing this short flight from Lahore to Islamabad, and soon I will be near the top of descent. Press shift 2 and you will see this top of descent is near. So I will now configure this plane for the descent. First of all, press tab and bring the EFB so that I can just consult the charts. So let's get the charts for Islamabad International Airport. Now you're seeing this option, activate vectors. Just ignore it. Don't press this because then the whole flight plan will disappear and the plane will straight away go to this approach. So don't do this if you see this activate vectors in your flight. So the runway is 28 left, so I can select approach and 28 left. And as I'm going for the ILS approach, that's why I will just bring up this chart. Now, first of all, let's look at the altitude at which I will be intercepting this glide slope. So this is 3,700. So I will adjust the altitude over here to 3,700, but I will not start the descent right now. So let's move the larger dial to set it to 3,000, the smaller one to change it in hundreds, 3,700. Now, whenever you do this, you will see the speed has started to increase. This happens in this plane. It will go up to 210. Yes. Or even I think 15. So this is, I think, kind of a bug in this plane. If this thing happens, just go to this option over here and instead of FMS, select man or manual and just reduce the speed if you can adjust it yourself. Right now the speed is appearing in Mach because the plane is above 20,000. But I think as soon as it's below 20,000, then the speed will change from Mach. Okay, so the altitude is 3,700 to which I will be descending. Now let's look at the ILS frequency. It's 108.1, which is there. If this frequency is not here, then you can just click this option, nav1, and then you can change the frequency over here. You see these two knobs. The larger one changes the number before the decimal and the smaller one after the decimal. So it's 108.1, so I can just change it, 108.1. And then I can press this option again. It's a touch screen, so you can do it. And this will be the active frequency. If I just show it to you over here, this is how you do it. So now 103.9 is the active, and now 108.10 is active. So for both of the navs, nav 1 and nav 2, I have the ILS frequency. Now, in order to show this information of this frequency over here, of this nav 8, if you press this button, you will see, initially you will see FMS and then you will see localizer 1. Now, as soon as you're near this airport, the Islamabad International Airport, you will also start to see the ILS frequencies information over here in this part of the PFD. That's it. So this is the altitude at which I will be intercepting the glide slope, and you have to set the minimums. So let's set the minimums to 1,950, although I can set it to 112 RA. There are basically two ways to adjust the altimeter, because you have to get the correct readings for the altitude. So either you go for barometric pressure or you go for the radio. In radio, the plane sends radio signals to the ground and you get the distance. It is actually decision height at which you decide whether the plane is aligned with the runway or not, or it's following the glide slope or not. So this is the glide slope, and if the plane is not aligned with the runway or it is not following the glide slope properly, so at this decision height or decision altitude, you can just call it a missed approach, go around, and you can just come back and land again. So that's why you have to adjust this altitude. So for category 3 and 2, it's set in terms of radio, RA. But for category 1, it's 1950 as per the barometer pressure. So to be on the safe side for this flight, I will use 1950 in terms of baro, which is actually 200 feet above the runway. As you can see, the runway is 1740. So it's roughly 200 feet above the runway. Now I will see if I'm aligned with the runway, then I will proceed. Otherwise, I will just cancel it. In order to adjust it, you will see this option over here, minimums. Just move this knob and you will start to see this baro over here. This is the altitude. So let's set it to 1950. If you move the mouse wheel a bit fast, it changes quickly. Let's go slowly. 1790, 1950. And that's it. But you can always change it to radio. If I press this option, I can, like in radio or in baro, you can change it. So now it's set in baro. To be on the safe side, I've selected it. Even if you want to have a safer altitude, you can go for 2180. This is actually the level of accuracy for the ILS. So category 3 is the most precise and localized. DME is the least precise ILS approach. So this is totally dependent on the equipment in the plane. So if your plane is capable of carrying a category 3, then you can just carry out a category 3 approach. That's it. So I can just get rid of it. Now let's wait for this top of descent. As soon as I'm near this point, I will activate this option VNAV. This is basically vertical navigation. Then the plane will actually automatically start to follow this vertical path. The vertical deviation will also appear over here. You can also descend based on these two options, flight level change or vertical speed. But it's good to descend with VNAV because then your vertical speed is adjusted as per the flight plan. Now you can see the plane is near the top of descent. So I can activate VNAV and let's see if the descent starts. I'm not going back to this FMS speed. It will then descend at very high speed. So I will just keep it over here. Or maybe you can change it if you want. Right now you can see this altitude is active, so the plane is following this altitude of 20,000 and the VNAV is armed. And you can see this vertical deviation has also started to appear over here. So it will tell you whether you are deviated from the vertical path or not. You can see this pointer is moving in the middle. As soon as it's here, the plane will start. And now you can see the color has changed. It is now in magenta because it is as per the flight management system. Then whatever the altitude constraints are over here, the plane will actually follow it. As you can see, these are given over here. Over here it says flight level 60. So at ISDO, the line is below, which means the plane should be at 6,000 plus, 5,000 plus, and it should be at 3,700 as the line is above and below. So now the plane has started to follow this vertical path. If I change the speed to FMS, you can see it will descend at a very high speed. So you can just keep it like this. But as soon as the plane is near the approach, you will see that the speed will not reduce. So you have to do it yourself. Otherwise, speed is not controlled. I have done 2 or 3 flights with it. Not enough time for me to basically experiment different things. But when I was trying, actually, the speed was not reducing. Because it should go up to this speed. So let's see how this plane behaves and how to handle it if the speed doesn't reduce. But right now 220 is okay because at SDO the speed should not be more than 220 knots. Transition altitude is 12,000, so I can also change the transition level to 12,000. I'm giving this input through my keyboard because this option is active. As you can see, this magenta color is there. If I click over here, now I can press it and enter it through my keyboard and just press enter. No need to activate vectors. The plane will straight away go to this approach, but let's keep it like this. Now as the plane is below 12,000 feet, I can change the barometric pressure from the standard to the given one, press comma. It will get adjusted, but as I've set the weather in this simulator, so that's why it's not changing. Otherwise it should change if you press comma on your keyboard to get the correct barometric pressure. So right now the speed is set to 220 knots, as at this point the plane should be at 220 knots, which is good. And at this point IBBA, this is actually D6, distance to runway is 6 nautical miles. This is distance to runway is 4 nautical miles. So the plane will eventually go to 3,700. Right now it's descending, and you can see there is no vertical deviation. This vertical deviation indicator is in the middle, so it means the plane is following this vertical deviation. So we have now the localizer information over here, which is 22 nautical miles away, so it's good. In order to follow this localizer, you have to change this mode. Right now the navigation mode is GPS. We have to switch it to the localizer or the viewer. So I will just press this button as soon as the plane is aligned with the runway. You can see the speed is increasing, so we don't want this. Let's reduce the speed. I will keep it at 180 knots. Because this is not logical. That at this point 220 knots and then after this point 230 knots. So you can see right now the FMS speed is really high over here. I think it has also changed over here. No, it is at 200 knots, so it should not go over there. So this is another one of the issues, the bugs in the FMS. So this is what I want to identify to you. Now in auto throttle, if you keep your speed over here, you will see there is a lot of fluctuation in the speed. It will just keep on going up and down, up and down, up and down. It doesn't happen once you are climbing, but during the descent this thing happens. So you can deactivate the auto throttle, and then you can adjust the throttle yourself in order to control the speed. So it's not advisable to go with the auto throttle during the descent. So I will turn on the auto throttle once I am over here at the final approach fix, which is 6 nautical miles before the runway. You will see the distance is showing. So right now as the plane is aligned with the runway, we don't want this nav mode anymore. I will be going in the heading mode because and just adjust the heading bug, bring it in the center. I forgot to do that. That's why plane started going towards the right side. Just press this button and the heading bug will be adjusted in the middle. Now you will see some deviation from the flight plan. but this is the FMS. So let's change the nav mode to localizer, and now it's there. I can just turn left, bring this needle, the deflection needle in the middle, 9.9 nautical miles away. Over here you can also do another trick. You can activate approach. So instead of adjusting the heading and bring this needle in the middle, you can see heading is 273. I'm trying to intercept this line, and then I can just go back again, 278, sorry, like this. I can activate approach. So once I will activate approach, the plane will be locked with the localizer. It will do the lateral alignment, and plus it will also start to follow the glide slope. Now you can see this glide slope indicator is over here. So this is your vertical path as per the FMS, and this is the glide slope indicator. So now you can see it's active. The glide slope is over here. It's active now, and the plane is following it. Now I can further reduce the speed. This is the speed. It's showing 15, which means I can extend the flaps below the speed. Now the flaps set to position 1 or 15 degrees. So don't forget to move to this nav mode localizer 1 in order to follow this approach. Now you can see this is the runway 28 left. I can further reduce the speed. Now the plane is following the glide slope. I can further extend the flaps. This is the speed. It says 30 and 40. So it means at this speed, you can have flaps to 30 or 40. But I will be landing with the full flaps, so I can go with the full flaps. Runway is now 4.7 nautical miles away. I can also lower the gears. That's it. Can I activate auto throttle right now? FMS, if I go to, let's say if I go over here, and let me just adjust it to 85 knots and auto throttle active. That's it. Now the speed will be stable. So now with this, I have set the speed to 85 knots, which is for the landing. 85 knots. As you can see, it's appearing over here. And now auto throttle is active. So I will just keep the auto throttle over here. And at any point, if I deactivate the autopilot, the auto throttle will not be disconnected. So auto throttle will remain here. So even if I want to do the maneuvering for the landing without the autopilot, I can do it, and I don't have to worry about this throttle. It will be adjusted automatically. So full flaps, gears down. And the plane is following the glide slope. I can just get rid of the AFP. So let's deactivate the autopilot. Now you can see the auto throttle is still active. This plane also has the reverse thrust. You can see for the throttle. I have the TCA thrust master quadrant. I'm using the default settings for the Airbus A320. So if you also have that controller, you can activate the reverse thrust once the plane lands. And if you don't have any controller, you have a normal stick, then you can press F on your keyboard. F will reduce the thrust and T will increase the thrust. And if you keep on pressing the F, the reverse thrust will be activated. which will help the plane to slow down. So now you can see I'm following the glide slope. There are no PAPI lights right now for this runway in this simulator. Now you can see auto throttle is automatically deactivated, and I can now activate the reverse thrust, and that's it. And now you can see the speed is reducing a lot because of the reverse thrust, and now I can deactivate the reverse thrust and press brakes to slow down, retract the flaps, and that's it. So this is how you perform the ILS approach and landing with this plane. I hope I have been able to show you all of the procedures. Now don't forget to watch the first 2 videos if you want to know how to start this plane from the cold and dark state and how to fly it on autopilot. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section, or if you want to add anything to this video, the comment section is there for you. Thank you very much for watching and have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.